Recently, I recorded a video where I talked about books that I regretted selling, books that I may not ever have in my collection again because some of them have skyrocketed in price, which kind of leads you to regret selling in the first place. Let's talk now about books that I regret not buying when I had the opportunity, because we all have those as well. Now, some of these are going to be books that you're definitely going to know. You're probably going to be right there with me. And I know there's at least one of them that a lot of you guys are going to be like, who cares? But it's a book that I really regret not buying. And I'm going to start off with that one, with Chaos Comics, Stone Cold Steve Austin, issue number 1. Now, I do have this issue, a raw copy, but this was a CGC Signature Series 9.8 signed by the man Stone Cold Steve Austin himself. This book was on eBay and I had it on my watch list. And I forget the exact price, but I think it was around like $450. Now, Stone Cold Steve Austin's not just running around ComiKon signing books all the time, so I took this as, oh my gosh, man, how often are you going to find something like this? There are a couple of them out there still. Not issue number 1s. This was an issue number 1. Very awesome cover. And my plan was to use eBay bucks that I was winning while I was on the hunt, and I was going to save those up to pay for half of it. Now, I had this book on my watch list for months, and the day that I decided, all right, I finally have half of the money in eBay gift cards from my winnings on the hunt. Thank you, Tony Sanders. Appreciate you, brother. The day before I decided, okay, finally I can purchase it, it sold. It sold the day before I had the stuff in my hands, the cards to purchase it. Isn't that how life goes sometimes? I know for me, that is literally the story of my life sometimes, it feels like. I mean, 24 hours ago, someone purchased this book that I have been watching and preparing to purchase for at least 2 months. It absolutely broke my heart. I was so upset about this because it's not come back up on eBay for sale again. And again, like I said, how often are you going to get a chance to get that signature on that book and have that in your collection? If you're a wrestling fan and a comic book fan, that is like as good as it gets as far as I'm concerned. So definitely one of those that is just a heartbreaker for me. Next up, Something is Killing Children, issue number 1, the A cover. Now, I have been a fan of this series from the beginning. I still remember the day that Nick and I walked into Haven Comics and Josh told us, you guys need to check this out if you aren't reading it. And he handed both of us one of the Jenny Frison issue number 1A covers. So we took it and we read it. We really enjoyed it. It was really cool. Put it on the pull list, and it was all downhill from there. You know, I was just love the series, grabbed tons and tons of different covers and issues, but somehow I never grabbed an A cover for issue number 1. I don't know how this happened, because I was absolutely 100% sure I had this book. 100% sure I had this book in my collection. It was just I have a certain short box that is just for my Boom Studios books, and I knew it was in there. Had to be in there. Well, I get ready to send some books off to CGC one week, and that was one I had been planning. All right, I need to send that one in. I want to get it graded. That's an awesome book. It's starting to really go up in value, and it wasn't in the box. It was not in the short box with all the other Something's Killing Children. How in the world? I thought I had this for, almost a year probably. And now I go finally in there to look, and it's like, oh, well, it's a little late to find this out now. So definitely one of those that I regret, because there's absolutely no way I'm paying $1,000 for that book. Will not happen. No way. So I missed my chance on that one. It really sucks, but in the end, what are you going to do? Throw the Bueller up. It's just one of those things. I missed it, and I regret it, but at the same time, am I going to wake up tomorrow not breathing because I don't have that book in my collection? No, not going to happen. So the third book on the list that I regret not purchasing, this was literally about 2 weeks after I sold my raw copy of Ultimate Fallout 4 that I spoke about in the last video. I walked into a comic shop here in Atlanta, and they had another copy up. And this is the same place I purchased my copy. And every time they put a copy up, it said, very last copy. Had a sticker on it. Last copy. And then someone would buy that one. And then you go back in there a couple weeks later and they have another one up. Last copy. But they bumped it up like $75 or $100. So a couple of weeks after I sold mine, I walk in here and they had a copy on the wall for $350 for a raw copy still in the poly bag. It's the first print Ultimate Fallout issue number 4. And I didn't buy it. I did not buy it. Would I buy a copy of Ultimate Fallout 4 issue number 1 right now, first print, for $300, $350, $400? Absolutely I would. Why did I not make that purchase last year? I had the money, but I didn't make the purchase. I don't understand what I was thinking. I don't know. Yeah, definitely regret not buying that book, because those prices for that book are so far gone and never coming back. That is definitely something that I believe is that book will never ever see those prices again. So that's one that I definitely regret, because again, I love Miles, love that book, would love to own it, but you know, again, am I gonna not wake up tomorrow because that book's not in my collection? No, probably not. All right, guys, so we have 2 more. The second to last one, this is one that I saw at my very first ComiKon, Atlanta ComiKon 2019. Kraven the Hunter is definitely top 5 favorite villains of all time for me. Maybe even top 3. I love Kraven. I've really enjoyed watching him as a kid on the Spider-Man animated series, so I gravitated to him when I started with comic books, and I was like, man, it'd be so cool to have some Kraven books, some really cool ones. And I just happened to walk up to a certain booth, I don't remember the name of it, but they did have the first appearance of Kraven the Hunter. I believe it's ASM 14. If I'm wrong, please don't beat me up on the comments. I'm pretty sure I'm right, but I may not be. It was a raw copy, and I think they wanted like $200 for it. And it was a decent copy. It was a nice mid-grade copy. At the time, guys, I was so new to comic book collecting. I was less than a year at that point. The idea of spending $200 on a comic book was absolutely hysterical to me. I mean, there's no way that I will ever spend $200 on a comic book, ever. I don't know what went wrong, but my mindset has changed significantly, as you can see. So not purchasing that book sucks so bad. I mean, right now, that's one of the books that have been really, really on fire lately because of the news of Kraven the Hunter possibly being in a movie. So not purchasing that book for a couple $100, which would have been a great deal. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You know, you regret it, you move on, you think about what could have been, and you know, you let it go. That's what I have to do, I guess. But that definitely sucks to have let go of that book, and I could have purchased it, and I didn't. Man, that sucked. And the last one, this one is the one that stings the most. It's almost a bittersweet though, because I chose to be a good friend over having a comic book grail. Yeah, that's the way I'm gonna spin this. You guys hear me talk about Dave's Comics and Collectibles all the time out here in Fayetteville. Dave is my guy when I'm looking for Silver Age books, big keys, or just some weird, like, out there stuff, because Dave gets so much in so often, and he takes care of me so well. I love Dave, love his shop. If you guys are ever in the area, please make sure you go check him out. But there was a book he had last year that I really wanted. This was the book I wanted when I first started collecting, because when I first got into comic books, once I moved past like Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles and started to actually get into Marvel and DC and stuff like that, X-Men was the way that I wanted to go, because I loved that animated series so much. And I hear people with the same story all the time, and it's so awesome to know that there's so many of us that gravitate that way because of the show. So X-Men #1. Not the Jim Lee X-Men #1. X-Men, the X-Men #1. Stan Lee. X-Men #1. CGC 1.8. Very low grade, but Dave had this book sitting in his case. And I can't remember the exact price that he and I negotiated to, but we agreed upon a price that was going to work for me. And he was going to let me make payments on it. Now, I would have still had to convince the wife to let me do this, but, you know, you guys see, she's pretty cool, so we probably could have worked that out. However, I thought on the fly, wait, before I lock this in, before I take this book, let me reach out to my buddy Justin Birch, because I know he's trying to finish his X-Men Volume 1 series, you know, the whole entire thing. And I know he needs an X-Men #1, so let me reach out to him and just make sure before I purchase this and feel bad about it that he doesn't want to purchase it first. Very big mistake, because just like my wife, Justin's wife is also very cool, and she was very cool with him purchasing that book. So Justin purchased this book. I believe it was under $2,500 for a 1.8 X-Men #1. Which right now is going for probably like right around or a little more than $10,000. That's a tough pill to swallow. That hurts. Now, the only reason why I don't like stay up at night about this is because I know that it means a ton to Justin to have that book. Whereas I also would have, that would have been a PC book. But when that book hit 10 grand, I'm sorry, but my family's not like okay enough to just look at $10,000 and be like, nah, we don't need that. We don't need 10 grand. No, we would have had to have that. So that $10,000 would have done a lot for my family. You know, we could have went on a nice vacation and put the rest in savings to go towards buying a house like we're trying to do. It would have went a long way. So although I would have definitely sold the book by now had I purchased it, at least I guess from a collector standpoint, it's better that Justin bought it than I did, because it went to a person that is going to keep that book. It's in his collection. It wasn't something that he even thinks about selling. So I guess, when you look at it that way, it probably worked out for the best. But when I think about the fact that that book is going for like 10 grand right now, like that definitely that just eats me up with regret. But at the same time, I was very happy to be able to help Justin out and get him hooked up with that book and help him finish his collection, because now he's finished and he's not sitting here trying to spend 10 grand on that book. So, I guess that is the silver lining on it. Guys, drop me a comment. Let me know, what do you think about these books that I regret not purchasing? What kind of books have you guys had the opportunity to purchase and you didn't do it, and now you might regret it a little bit? Or you just kind of look back and say, man, I wished I would have bought that book, whether it be for PC reasons or maybe you could have made a little money on it. All of these were books that I would have just loved to have in the PC. Like I said, the X-Men one, that would have been a PC book until it hit that 10,000 mark. Then they would have had to go. She would have had to go. Do you think that I'm wrong for that? And what do you think about all the other choices that I had, guys? I'd love to hear your opinions on it, your thoughts. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Guys, we have 2 other channels going on right now. One where we do nothing but comic book reviews, and one where we do comic book shorts. Please make sure you subscribe to those as well as this one. Hit the like button on your way out. And as always, guys, collect your way.